Welcome to the Magellan Network Show, episode number 351. In this episode, we are going to talk about all these lead gen products that are out there, all these services from internet services to ideas and everything else in between, Facebook ads. But before we get into that, I want to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Coach Joe Lucas. And for over 32 years now, I've done nothing but coach financial advisors, over 75,000 individual sessions, tens of millions of dollars of profits of additional, actually more hundreds of millions of dollars, excuse me, and billions of dollars of more of additional assets from my efforts. I coach some of the most successful people from every list you can think of in this industry. And the purpose of this show is for me to share with you, whether you're a new financial advisor or somebody who is just, looking to improve, looking for that edge. I'm going to share with you my best strategies, the same strategies that I share with my individual personal clients that compensate me a lot of money to help them get to their next level. So with all that said, let's talk about episode 351 here, lead gen. So I've been at this since 1994, and I've seen a lot of things cross my desk from, the cold call. Some of you like, what is he talking about? But you can go Google this if you want. The cold call cowboy, a business card where you would actually get a recording and CDs and like phantom books. I've had clients over the years would go to a college campus and a fraternity, and we'd have 8 callers calling switchboards of large organizations, right? Seminars, cold walking, like I said, cold calling. Now we're into the high tech stuff, internet lead generation, seminars, and things like that. So, what I'm going to do is do my best in the time that I always like to keep these relatively 20 minutes or so. I kind of talk to you about a couple different things, what I see, and hopefully to guide you if you're thinking about doing one of these lead gen programs, or maybe you're already doing one and you're struggling with it. So, let me make a blanket statement first, and then we'll go from there. Here's my blanket statement. It all works for somebody. The question is, based on your situation, your capacity, your resources, your capabilities, what's going to work for you? So I've not seen something not work, but I've also seen everything not work. So case in point. And, I'm going to use names because I don't really care. And I'm going to always say nice things because I've got clients that use it and it works really, really well. So let's just take a lead gen, internet lead gen. So Smart Asset. Let's just talk about those guys. Great. I've got clients that will brought in close to $40 million with it last year. And I've got clients who tried it and didn't work. So what's the difference? It's the approach to any lead. So let me say this. I don't care if you want to do Smart Asset, Advisor Jetpack, Apex Acquisition, you want to do seminars, you want to do white glove workshops. I don't care what you do. But you have to take a long-term approach. So I'll give you my rules. On any lead gen you do on the internet, 6 months. So if the investment per month is like $4,000, times that by 6, that's 24,000. You've got to put that on the side as your business development marketing budget, and you've got to be willing to invest it before you make a decision on whether something works for you or not. What many advisors do, they get in, if you're on a 30-day decision cycle with marketing, you're dead. It's 6 months at minimum. So when I talk to a client and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about trying," I said, "No. We got to roll 6 months. And how much is it per month?" Well, then that's the budget. And if you're not willing to burn that money, then don't do it. Just save everybody a lot of time, energy, and effort. So I've got clients that rock out Smart Asset, Apex, Advisor Jetpack. All the other ones are out there. They're really good. Again, if it's for you, if you're allowed to do it. But again, the caveat is 6 months. There are also other caveats. If you're not organized, if you lack systemization in your practice, and all of a sudden, either from your inbox, you're going to get leads or you're going to get appointments on your calendar automatically, and you're a hot mess, do not do this. You will fail. You'll get frustrated. If you ask me the common theme that I see advisors really executing and getting a great ROI on any of these lead gen systems is they have their own, they already systematized themselves. Like they can take it in, they can take the flow, they've got it all mapped out, they've got a really tight prospect to client conversion process, and they just know what they're doing. If you're like a solo advisor with hundreds of households and you're a hot mess and you're going to stroke a check for any of these lead gen systems, I will caution you seriously to rethink that until you get the rest of your house in order. Once you're in order, total scale game, no question about it. And for the next 4 years, with the bow wave of people retiring, and let's face it, the internet is for a person getting ready to retire. The internet is their friend these days. They're going to Google, right? I need retirement planning ideas. What are your best practices? And they buy. And by the way, you cannot compete with them. They buy the traffic. So if you're like, well, because I've had clients talk to me, well, John, I don't want to spend. I'll just create my own system. I said, you cannot outspend them for traffic. Like, why are we going to do that? The whole purpose of a third party lead gen is for it's a third party. Is a who, not how. It is outsourced. And so many advisors, like they get this in their head. Oh, I'm just going to do my own thing. Or worse, they'll take something that's proven to work and they'll bastardize it. Oh, I don't like that part. I'm going to change it. Dude, all bets are off. Like, don't do that. If you can't take it at face value, then don't do it. Like, just don't. And if some of you people from these organizations are listening, watching to this, like, I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to talk to you about this. Drives me crazy. I always want to change stuff. And the funny part is, sad, is that, you know, the advisor will go to the entity that they hired. Oh, your program doesn't work. And I know what the people are thinking, like, no, man, it works for hundreds of advisors, not thousands of advisors. You just can't execute, right? Or you get these leads and you just can't convert because you're afraid, you don't have strategy, right? All these things. So again, the online stuff works and it all works. But the real question is, what's going to work for you? And then are you willing to have the long-term approach to this? The other caveat, and we're going to talk about we're talking about a lot of these other things in a second. So there's a term that one of my early mentors in my career, Jay Abraham, I met him through Tony Robbins. He came up with I don't know if he coined it or not, but he owns it. So we'll give him his credit. Lifetime value. So for a point, and this is the question I want you to ask yourself. This is the question I ask a lot of clients when we're talking about marketing and business development. And I keep things very simple. I say, what is your typical client? And just for argument's sake in this conversation, it's $1 million of assets, and we're going to be fee-based, and we're going to do it at one point. And so it's 10K. And let's just, for argument's sake, just do that. Okay, $10,000 annually for how many years? The last study I showed, the typical client will be an advisor anywhere from, depending on whose numbers you want to look at, 15 to 20 years. Let's just take 15. And we're not going to get into, well, how about they add money in the markets and RMDs? We're not going to play that game. Simple math. 10,000 times 15 years is $150,000 lifetime value. I'm not talking about referrals, everything else that you can get from that client. Here's my question to you. What would you pay for that? So in other words, if I said, hey, I will provide you a steady stream of these people, these opportunities that have a lifetime value, a minimum of 150. That's the minimum. So I'm going to be 250, 300, $500,000 lifetime value. What are you willing to pay to get them? Like, what are you willing to pay? $100 an appointment, 250 an appointment. If you know your ratios and you go, well, if it's cold traffic, half of them are going to be crazy, which is about right, by the way. So half of them would be crazy, and then that leaves me the other half, and I can probably scrape maybe half of those in over, not again, maybe not the first 30 days, but over the course of a year, I can probably get 25% of them in the door and get the assets in the door. Some of you guys do better, which is great. It still makes sense. Even if you have to pay think about it, 1,000, 2,000, If you got 10,000 year one, 10,000 year one, first year, 12 months, I'd pay I'd pay 2,500, I'd pay 5,000. I stroke that check all day long. Why? I'm profitable year one and I'm super profitable the rest of my life. But most advisors don't think that way. And let me also say this about any lead gen program. You're going to burn cash for the first 2 to 3 months. Why? You don't know how to do it. Excuse my language. You suck at it. Why? You haven't done it before. There's this ramp up. And if you can't get your head around it, and this is what I tell my clients all the time, look, we're going to go down this road. Let me tell you right now, you're going to fail first and you're going to not convert people and you're going to blow situations because you're learning how to do this and you've got to be okay with that. Because once you get through that and you master this, you're going to make millions of dollars in this game. But you got to get through it. That's what most advisors don't want to do. In fact, that's what most human beings don't want to do. Why? Failure. Burn. And that's why I say 6 months. The first 3 months, you're basically lighting money on fire. But then you figure it out. If you're a student, you get your system in place and you make it happen. All right. So again, I'm not advocating for any of these. I'm not saying everybody needs to go do these. But I'm saying if you're thinking about it or you're in the middle of it and you've been like frustrated, you're like 1 or 2 months into this and it's not working for you or whatever, I'm telling you right now, you quit, you get zero return on investment, ZERO. Okay. So that's outsourced. Now, and that's all the new stuff, right? Everybody's excited, oh man, internet leads, right? Yay. Just as a sidebar, I've got a client down in South Carolina. He kind of does his own Facebook ads. I think he'll bring in $40, $50 million this year. Just doing, he builds his own system. He did this before I met him. So he's rocking it out, right? But he's got a system, he's got a team, he's got staff, he's got content. He's not doing any reviews. He's got a whole he's got a whole system that he can scale. So you can do that. And he's not willing to, and he's not afraid to invest money to find out things. That's important. That's what entrepreneurs do. Now let's talk about something that's old, that what's old is what is old is now new again. Seminars, and I mean like seminars, like from the let's go. Whether it's whether you're doing like webinars, and I know there's a few firms that promote those. I know White Gloves are my clients use. I think there's Steep also. They do one. So again, same scenario, right? Done for you. You show up, do the thing. They populate it. You pay per seat. So which is really nice about those is they will guarantee you virtual fannies in the seat. And it's your job to convert them. And if you suck at webinars and you suck at public speaking and you're going there afraid, don't do it. Or if you're going to do it, 6 months. You got to do several cycles to get good, right? And then you're okay. Then you'll start converting. That's the way it works. So I've got guys who've done those, done very well with them. Same thing though. They like to teach, they like to educate, but that's where a lot of advisors screw themselves. They give too much information. They make this about information. And let me tell you something, people don't need information. That's what the internet's for. That's what AI is for. What they want an experience. They want somebody, what they're looking for in that, and we'll talk about live ones in a minute. What they're looking for in that webinar is, can they connect with you? Can they see themselves working with you? So it's not about, in retirement planning 101. They didn't get that anywhere. Like, you need to talk about how you do things, right? What makes you different? Why people trust you, right? Those things matter. And I have a hard rule, which maybe some of the seminar people don't like, but I'm going to tell you why. I hate Q&A. Virtual live seminars, why do I hate Q&A? You're robbing yourself of the reason for them to come see you, virtually or live. Every time you answer a question, it's one less reason for that person to come see you. So don't do it. Well, Joe, how do you handle that? Like, when somebody asks me, hey, great question. There's 3 or 4 possibilities. I would need to know your personal financial situation, your goals, your risk tolerance, other elements. And this is just not the forum for that. That's why at the end, we have that opportunity for you to schedule your personal, private coaching and integration session. That's where we'll answer that question. That's how we handle it, right? It's not a deflection. It's serving that person in the highest level because you don't what are you gonna do? I mean, you could just rip some strategy out, but you don't know that person's situation. You don't know them at all. They're just some couple, hopefully, on a screen or in a restaurant or the library, right? You don't know them. So don't do it. Just don't, right? Terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Now, like I said, so with any workshop, live or virtual, I'm going to get into live ones in a second. You're only as good as your weakest point. So, for example, there are four core elements. Number one, getting people there. So, if you're hiring a service that's going to do that for you, good news is you don't have to worry about that, right? Great, and I recommend that. I am not a fan of being in the mail house business. Not for advisors, too expensive. Don't. You're saving pennies and losing hundreds. Don't do it. Hire service, whatever is out there, and they have a good, pick your one, live, virtual, I don't care. I've got clients that do both. I've got a guy on the West Coast. He does Ruth Chris cycles every year. He's going to the desert. Um, and we're crushing it. Like, I mean, absolutely crushing it. Why? Because everybody's looking at the internet. And remember something, the buyers, the marketplace, not everybody's into the internet. Some people want to see a person, right? So there's a lot less competition for live seminars. There's a lot more work. Not for, so you got to think about that. Like, you can't dabble. But let me get back to the four. So the first one is fill the room with the right people. Next, do a great job in the room, virtual or live. Next, offer conversion to meeting. Because if that doesn't happen, who cares about the other two things? And then the last thing is, then you have a detailed multi-meeting prospect to client conversion process. I teach it called Get the Yes 2.0, where we have a prospect to client conversion process that's super successful. So we can plug it into a back end of a seminar or into a webinar or into Smart App or any of them, right? We have that. Why? Because in the seminar game, live virtual, you're only as good as your weakest link. So link one, fill the room, outsource. Link two, that's you. You don't do a good job in the room, nobody's going to come talk to you. You do a great job in the room, but then you have a crappy offer, then you don't convert. Guess what? Everybody loves you, nobody comes to see you. Who cares? Then they come to see you, but if you can't convert them, then guess what? Who cares, right? You're not in the educational business, you're in the asset management or financial planning business. Totally different. So those are just some things I want to be, like I said, I've got clients that crush it on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you how they do it real quick. They're not there posting much. Nobody, I gotta watch my language here. Don't want to get the explicit mark in on YouTube. But if you're delusional to think that I'm going to post some third party or if you have a firm that regurgitates some stuff, that's going to attract people to you. I mean, I guess it could happen, but and I'd be curious to take a quick poll. I mean, how many of you had somebody from LinkedIn reach out to you and said, "Hey, I saw your," like, and I'm talking about not a personal post, I'm talking about like third party, like economy stuff, market information. Nobody cares about that. You want to show a picture of your dog in your office? You got a better shot with that. Seriously. So how do my clients do it? First off, is authentic, personal content, non-market related. Next, when they connect with somebody, they will send and again, there are tools to do this. Um, there's two services we like, BombBomb and Loom. There's a bomb like BombBomb, right? BOMB, and Loom. Now, why do we like those? They're video embeds, whether it's an email or you can embed them in a message on LinkedIn. So instead of typing something out, there's a little video that shows up in the person's message box that you can say, "Hey, Bill, my name's Joe. Thanks for connecting with me. Hey, by the way, I see that you're an executive at XYZ company. I just want you to know that myself and my team, we have an expertise in working with executives just like you. And in my way of saying thank you for connecting with me, here is a PDF that has like a white paper, like provide them some value, or like restock option worksheet, right? Or here's an infographic on 10 things you need to know about maximizing your RSUs, whatever. Provide value. They thank you. Then you go to have a conversation. Not, "Hey, thanks for connecting with me. Let's talk." That's like, "Hey, I just met you, but let's get married." It does not work that way. Do not try to shortcut this. It's a long game. So does that work? Yes. Does cold calling still work? No. Why? Technology. And, for those who are watching on YouTube, right, and audio, I'm holding up my iPhone right now. When people call you on this and you don't know who they are, let me ask you, do you answer it? Do you answer it? No. Of course you don't. That's what technology is for. And there's more screening and more apps and screen calling and call screening and all these other things. So it's just like, and then the last thing, and again, I want to try to keep these to 20, 25 minutes. When somebody says like, especially when they bring a young person in, oh yeah, we're just gonna have them cold call like I did. Dude, that was like 40 years ago. That was before the iPhone. That's for all this technology. And here's the two problems you have with cold calling. Number one, nobody answers. Number two, they answer. And you're like, well, what do you mean? They answer. That's good. No, it's not. You have no idea what that person, what their state of mind is, what their mood is. Are they open to your conversation? Nothing. Right. And here we are. We're supposed to be professionals. And yet we're going to parachute in with somebody and, hey, I'm here. I'm demanding your time right now because I'm on the phone with you. Who does that? And you want to be thought of as a professional? No. So if you lead teams and you got people banging the phones, do yourself a favor, right? I wouldn't. Now about my guy who was banging phones with all the frat brothers, right? We took that whole game on LinkedIn. It works great. You do it 24/7. You can do it on Saturday, Sunday. Doesn't matter. You can only call so many hours a day, and only between certain hours, and nobody picks it up anyway. It's a waste of time, waste of energy. Okay. So I just want to share this with everybody. And so as a recap, if you're thinking about lead gen online, great. I would vet 2 or 3, get a good feel. Again, 6 months, burn the money, get good. If you can't get your head around it, then don't do it. Seminars, live, virtual. Not everybody so one of the things I'll ask real quick. Hey, I want to do workshop. Great. How do you feel about public speaking? Oh, I hate it. I'm terrified. It's like saying, well, I want to get a sailboat, but I'm afraid of the water. Like who does that? Like, come on, think, right? Now, I'm not saying you may be comfortable doing public speaking, but if you hate it, like, oh, I'm fearful of it, or I break out in hives, I don't care, live or virtual, don't do it. Do something else. It just won't work for you. It just, you're going to look very strange in front of the room or on the screen. So don't do it. And just remember, everything works for somebody. Figure out what's going to work for you. And you don't need a lot of things. And this is the other thing I want to say, then we're going to bounce it. There's a lot of times a misnomer in our space that you have to have 5 or 6 different lead gens going. I got to diversify my leads. No, you don't. Just get really good at what you're doing. Nobody runs out. I mean, next 4 years, we're going to have a bow wave of baby boomers retiring, the bow wave of business owners selling their businesses. No, we don't need 15. We don't need to be mediocre in 3 things. We need to be great at 1 and own it. All right. So that's our episode for this week. Thank you for watching, listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. If you want more information or access to some of these tools and templates that I'm talking about for free, go to MagellanNetwork.net. Thank you. See you all again next week.